What's going on, Jeromes? So you know that Vikings general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has absolutely been cooking with gas this offseason and still making moves to improve the rooster, number 90 man to 90, as well as 53 out of 53 practice squad, etc. And it's his job. It's what he's supposed to do, man. And for the Vikings, fortunately, after losing J.J. McCarthy for the season, full meniscus repair, the Vikings have kicked the tires on a couple quarterbacks. You got Matt Corral coming on in for the last couple of weeks of the preseason. Then Sling and Sam Darnold is going to be quarterback 1. Nick Mullins is entrenched as your backup quarterback 2. Jaron Hall rebounded from a bad showing against the Raiders, looking really damn good against the Browns. But is that going to be enough to be that quarterback 3? Has Jaron Hall shown enough in training camp and preseason to be that guy moving forward? Or is it going to be Matt Corral? Or is it going to be someone else? Right. So the Vikings still certainly potentially shopping, and as are a lot of teams, as the rosters are about to shuffle with 53-man cutdowns as well as practice squad additions. Enter Dorian Thompson-Robinson, second-year quarterback out of UCLA. Again, I'm a quasi-USC fan, but not so hardcore that I won't fly the colors of a Bruin when a trade may be brewing. Nailed it. But reportedly from Akron Jackson, Zach Jackson's fantastic name, by the way. Browns willing to engage in trade talks involving quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Souse. Details of this. The Browns have discussed a potential trade of second-year quarterback DTR with multiple teams. 2 league sources with knowledge of the situation say, blah, 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 blah. It's possible that the Browns could try to use Thompson-Robinson as a trade piece to help them acquire an experienced offensive lineman or an experienced player at another position ahead of the August 27 deadline to cut roosters to the regular season size of 53. Longtime Browns starting offensive tackles Jedrick Willis Jr. and Jack Conklin remain on the physically unable to perform list with knee injuries as the Browns begin their practice week ahead of Saturday's preseason finale in Seattle. And for the Browns, so the main question is, why would they potentially trade a young up-and-coming quarterback, a guy who started some games for them last year? Well, he started some games for them last year. Maybe they didn't like what they saw. Maybe he's been whatever in camp. Now, Deshaun Watson is firmly quarterback 1 and made the trade, gave him the huge contract. It is what it is. Although, I still think that they would be better with Jameis. The Browns would be better with Jameis, just like the Saints would have been better with Jameis last year instead of Derek Carr, whatever. But, DTR, and maybe it's a spot where they feel fine with Tyler Huntley, former Ravens Pro Bowler, as their quarterback 3, and are willing to move a piece that has some value to try and shore up other needs, mainly listing the offensive line / offensive tackle. Now, DTR, who played the bulk of the first half against the Vikings in preseason, like he did, eyed 13-17 for $126. The interception was off a tip pass, so whatever, but basically he was pretty damn solid. Also, he was really damn good the first preseason game against the Packers as well. So, hey, you have a guy who looks good against the Packers. It's important. Also, as we say a bunch on this channel, don't discount, hey, that guy played well against us scouting. That's how the Vikings ended up with Mike Wallace back in the day. It's been a while since back in the day. And also, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's 24 years young. He's 6'2", 203, former 4-star recruit from Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas. High school teammates with Jalen Speedy Naylor. Connection there. Took his talents to UCLA with Chip Kelly. 2022 senior season, completed 69.9% of his passes, 3,169 yards passing. Nice, 27-10. Also ran for 12 touchdowns. The Vikings did do some work on him during the draft process. Met with him at the combine as they were looking for potentially adding a quarterback. Now, what's interesting is, so he ended up being a 5th-round pick, number 140 overall. As you see, the Vikings picked 141. Took Jaquan Roy out of LSU, keeping that Skull SU pipeline alive. And with DTR, is this a spot where Andrew Berry, former boss of Kwesi, as maybe got the jump on his former mentee? And just like, hey, I know that you've been doing work on DTR. Yoink. Certainly possible, man. So if DTR got into 141, would the Vikings have taken him there? It's a possibility, as the Vikings were in the market for a day 3 quarterback, as evidenced by them taking Jaron Hall later on in the 5th round at 164. And Thompson-Robinson was forced into action due to a bunch of injuries last season for the Browns. Started 3 games as a rookie. threw for 440 yards, a touchdown, 4 picks, 51.2 quarterback rating. Basically, he looked like a rookie. He also skedaddled for 65 yards. He was the starting quarterback of their 13-10 win over the Steelers, which, I mean, that's the Super Bowl for the Browns. He threw 43 times, man. It's crazy. Also, frankly, he looked kind of good in the Broncos game before he got injured, week 12. And also, his injury opened the door for Jumpin' Joe Flacco to win Comeback Player of the Year. So that you forget how little Joe Flacco actually played last year. It's kind of crazy, man. But either way, like maybe the connection between Kwesi and Andrew Berry and the fact that the Vikings had joint practices with the Browns this week, maybe that certainly would help. And what would DTR bring? So he does turn 25 in November. Jaren Hall turned 26 in March, so a little bit younger there. Solid accuracy, has some mobility, goes through progressions well. Does have 3 starts and 214 offensive snaps of game experience. Now, it wasn't all good, but that experience, either you win or you learn, and there's a lot of learning for DTR last year. Also, seeing him up close and personal last week at the joint practices as well as the preseason game, and as we said, the whole Kwesi Andrew Berry dynamic. Plus, there's a handful of players that were former Vikings that ended up on the Browns. So obviously there's an information connection there. You look at Diesel Dalvin Tomlinson, who signed a free agent deal with Cleveland after 1 year with Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, as well as you look at Jordan Hicks, solid linebacker, went to Cleveland. Plus, I mean, the trade of Zadarius Smith from the Vikings to the Browns. So obviously there's a pipeline of doing business and doing deals there. So this could be one of those. Now, there would be concerns like, why would they trade him year 2? If he's so young and promising, why not just hang on to him, especially since, I mean, that Deshaun Watson contract you can get out from under here coming up pretty soon. And he doesn't, frankly, Deshaun Watson looks bad. That's it, man. That's straight up it. But like we said, are they using an asset? Do they feel fine with Huntley? Are they trying to improve other positions? Now, Akron Jackson specifically lists offensive line. So offensive line, not really the deepest for the Vikings, but is it a spot where Walter Rouse has done enough where they feel fine with him as the backup swing tackle, and they would part ways with a guy like David Quisenberry? Now, I like Quisenberry a lot, but he's 34, longer in the tooth, and he would fit the profile of a veteran offensive tackle that you would feel fine filling in as Wills and Conklin look to get back from the PUP list. And frankly, if you can get a quarterback 3 in DTR that you maybe like more than Jaren Hall or Matt Corral for David Quisenberry, it's a hell of a trade, man. But it would leave the Vikings a little bit thin along the offensive line in terms of depth. And Quisenberry did fill in nicely for Darrisaw and O'Neal when asked over the last couple seasons. So I don't know. I really don't know in this spot. But basically, it comes down to, do the Vikings see DTR as a guy who has more potential than Jaren Hall or Matt Corral? So that's a question that's going to be asked and answered here over the next couple of weeks. But it is certainly interesting, and I like this time of year because a lot of micro deals get done here or there as teams are looking to improve every single spot on the roster. But trust Kwesi. Trust Kwesi. And with Andrew Berry, he'll get the straight dope, and we'll see what happens in this spot. But your thoughts are thoughts. Should the Vikings be in on Browns backup quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Let us know your thoughts. Our thoughts, comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. While support the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.